Broadcasting from Lerner and Rowe Studios, this is AZP 365, your home for Arizona sports conversation. Here's your host, Jose Garcia.
Hello, Arizona high school sports fans. It's hard to believe, but the school year is almost complete. Welcome to the Stretch Run and the AZP 365 podcast. There's about a month left before the 2025-26 school year closes shop. The AIA Spring Playoffs will open next week with beach volleyball taking the stage first. Arizona always has plenty to offer when the high school playoffs arrive. And one of the things fans look forward to is the voice of Jim Barnett. For 37 years now, Jim has served as the public address announcer for the AIA's major sporting events. But Jim's contributions go well beyond the AIA's press boxes, as you will soon find out.
This segment is presented by the Fiesta Bowl, celebrating excellence on and off the field, while creating unforgettable moments for athletes and fans across Arizona.
The championship teams are very lucky to have Jim Barnett serve as the AIA's public address announcer. You see, Jim is in the big leagues as he is the announcer for the Arizona Cardinals as well. He has also worked with the Phoenix Suns in the same capacity. The voice behind our show's introduction and commercial breaks is none other than Jim Barnett. It's time to put a face to the voice. The originator of the third down call. Finally, we get him in studio. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Barnett. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get to the side of the Cardinals, the professional stuff that you do, I wanted to take you back to high school. We are a high school show after all. For you, it started at Moon Valley High.
It did.
I think the public address announcing as well. I think you were a former athlete at Moon Valley.
Yes.
Take us back to the 90s also.
Yeah, way back, right? I was a junior in high school going into my senior year and I don't know what a public address announcer is at that point. And I went to a Fellowship of Christian Athletes situation after my football season in the fall of my senior year. And we went, and as a result of those 3 days, we came back down to the Valley, and we were all taken to a Phoenix Suns game, which was at Veterans Memorial Coliseum. It was the year that Grandma Ma, do you remember Larry Johnson?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was with the Charlotte Hornets, and it was his rookie year. And I went to a game, and I'm with a bunch of people, bunch of chaperones, and I'm sitting there the whole time, loving basketball, never played it in my life, not for real. But I was listening to the guy talking, and it really enamored me. And so I went up to an usher at halftime and I said, "Who's the guy talking?" And they pointed to the best seat in the house, which is right at half court. Big redhead, Jeff Munn, was at the time the announcer who had taken over for Stan Richards for the Suns. The whole second half, now that I knew where he sat, I just watched him. I wasn't far away, but far enough just to see him. And I just listened. And then I went home that night. That was the night I returned from the 3-day trip. And I said to my dad, "Dad, I'm going to be the Phoenix Suns PA announcer someday." My dad didn't know what that meant either. He said, "Hey, that's great." I was 17 years old.
17 at the time.
Yeah. That was on a Sunday evening. I still had the ticket stub. I have everything kind of saved. And then on Monday, I went back to school. And the basketball coach at Moon Valley High School at the time was Bill Vaught. And I was his TA for his math class my senior year. So I looked him up. I'm in his class, and I said, "Hey, who's the PA announcer for Moon Valley basketball for your games?" He said, "Well, no one really does that. Just a teacher comes in and does the starting lineups, whoever's there at the table, but no one announces our games." And I said, "Can I do it?" "Sure." So I did it. And they had like maybe 5 or 6 home games. And so what evolved from there was me doing it. I obviously was very, very nervous. I was a child. I was a very young kid. Didn't really know what I was doing. Just kind of threw myself in there and said, I'll try the best I can. A couple games in, there was a gentleman that was the athletic director at Moon Valley, Zig Kwiatkowski. And Zig Kwiatkowski then became a tournament coordinator for here, the AIA. And so he tapped me on the shoulder about 3 games in, and he said, you're pretty good at this. I also thank you, Mr. Kwiatkowski. And he's like, "No, seriously, you might want to think about this as a profession." I was like, "Well, that's crazy for somebody to say I've only done 2-3 games." A couple of other people had tapped me on the shoulder, parents, "Who are you?" Because I'm a kid doing it, so They didn't really realize what the spectrum of what was going on at games. And I wasn't too elaborate. I wasn't too over the top. I was just doing my thing, or what I thought was my thing. And then Zig took the job as a tournament coordinator, and he introduced me the following February. So this was happening all in December. Okay. So in February, just a couple months later, Zig was acting as tournament coordinator and working with, these are names that are old with the AIA. I'm going to go back on you, but Dr. Voy Stewart-Coy and Dick Stewart, who was somebody that managed everything. And so he said, I want to get you a meeting with Dick Stewart. I came in and I met with him and Zig and Dr. Voy Stewart-Coy. And they said, would you like to come do some games for us? I said, sure.
At 17 years old?
17 years old. Wow. So the first game I ever did was actually in 1990, February of 1990. It was a semifinal game at ASU Activity Center for basketball. It was, I think it was Brophy, but it was Saguaro and Brophy. Scottsdale Saguaro. It had Jimmy Kalisko. There's some names out there that I remember very vividly. It was a great game. It was my very first one. And then from there, it just became, what's the funny part about that story is that the other person that was doing the games for the AIA at the time was Jeff Munn, the Phoenix Suns announcer. So obviously that brought in, I was now sitting with the guy or sharing some space with a guy that I had just seen in December at a Phoenix Suns game and looked and hoped to be, right? So yeah, it just evolved. I did more, and I never left Moon Valley, but at the time, I continued to do Moon Valley basketball and some football, and was at 17, started plotting, doing some stuff with the AIA, and it just became a little bit more and more and more until it eventually was everything.
And you spoke the Suns gig into existence.
I did.
How many years after your first gig as a 17-year-old did you start working with the Suns?
9 years later. So I remember, and there are certain days in your career, there are certain moments in your career. Now, before the Suns came about, I was hired as the Arizona Rattlers announcer. So what happens is the more you lean into your job and want to do it, obviously, you're going to have those opportunities come to you. The more people that hear you, the more people like you, the more people have opportunities and say, who's that? Let's get him. When the Suns opened up America West Arena, same stadium they're in now, but it was named America West Arena. Yep. When they opened that, the AIA moved their games to America West Arena too. So now I'm in a bigger format. I'm where the Suns can hear me. I'm where the Mercury eventually landed, etc. The Arizona Rattlers were moving into that stadium too. And so the Rattlers then hired me. So I was in indoor football for the Arizona Rattlers, which then became the Rattlers plus the Phoenix Mercury, which then just a few years later when Jeff Munn stepped aside as the Phoenix Suns announcer, became the Suns announcer as well. So I was holding all three at one point.
You are still essentially in high school because not only are you doing the Cardinals, obviously you're doing our state championship games, but you're working with Liberty High. What is it about the high school aspect of it? Because I don't think I've ever seen a public address announcer at the pro level still work high school games. What is it about high school that you love?
Well, I definitely love the purity of the sport because obviously at the next level now, not just pro, but college, it seems to be more and more about the bucks and the money and the where people go and the transfer portals and all that. At the high school level, at least, there's a community. And I feel like the reason why I'm involved with Liberty High School is due to the fact that I know so many people there. As you know, one of my best friends is the head coach for basketball, Mark Wood at Liberty. And so when he had asked me, I had stepped away from doing high school specific Moon Valley after Richard Jefferson left Moon Valley High School was the year that I left at Moon Valley, continuing to do my other things. Still doing high school for the AIA, obviously. When I got brought back into the high school specific space was when Mark saw me at a Chipotle one day. It's kind of an old test of time. And he asked me in line at Chipotle, he's like, what would it take for a guy like you, whatever that definition was at the time, what would it take for you to come aboard and be my announcer for Liberty basketball? And I looked him dead in the eye. He'll tell you the same story. And I said, well, just ask me. And so it happens to be where my daughter would eventually go to school. It's right where I live, near where I live. So it became a convenience thing. And then what I did is I listened to what Mark's vision was. I thought his vision was outstanding. If you've ever been to one of our games at Liberty, we try to make our gymnasium experience sound like a Phoenix Suns game, sound like a big-time place to be. We often get comments from opposing teams, administrators, et cetera, that have come into our gymnasium and just said, we want to play at Liberty. There's a specific reason why it's nice to go there. So it's been great. That evolved into me becoming their football announcer as well on Friday nights just to kind of keep the flow. My daughter was a cheerleader at Liberty for 4 years. So we're engulfed in that community. I still am. A lot of my dear friends are coaches and administrators for Liberty. So now I'll answer the why now. right? Because I get asked that question a lot. I get asked the question from people that might not know me personally. You know, you're at the pinnacle. You're one of 32 guys in the NFL, right? You do a lot of professional things. Why do you still do it at the high school level? And it's because I have a pure joy of watching young athletes. And I'm also involved with the space of making an elite space for championship affairs. So for the AIA, you know, what we're doing, I want to make something where a kid comes in, a young kid, an athlete, comes into a space like a championship and says, we are in the big time. It's not just another game. It's not just, so whether that's hearing my voice, listening to the tunes, or the space we've created with the atmosphere, however we can do that, I love giving that part back. It makes it fun for me. Every one of those extensions are not my responsibility at the Cardinals. At the Cardinals, I'm a voice. I'm the voice of the State Farm Stadium, et cetera, right? I don't do the music there. I don't produce the show. I don't do that. At the AIA level, I'm doing a little bit more of that, so it's easy for me to get engulfed with it and love it, and I very much do. And I don't ever see myself leaving. So,
you love serving.
I do love serving others. Yes,
and that's great. I mean, what a blessing for Liberty High. What a blessing for us, for the Cardinals, for everybody that gets to hear your talent, that gets to hear your voice. Your wife hears you 24/7 pretty much.
Right.
You mentioned your daughter.
Yes.
I know you juggle a lot, PA-wise, work-wise, you're 9 to 5. Tell me about your wife and your daughter, because I know they've been there wherever I see you as well, whatever event, high school event, I usually see your wife. I usually see your daughter there next to you.
Yeah, they're obviously my day ones, right? Jennifer, my wife, has been an incredible support to me following my dreams, going back to when I got the Suns job. We were in a Halloween store 2 days before Halloween, and I got a phone call from the then game operations manager for the Suns, who called me and said, hey, do you want the gig? 2 days before the Sun season started. We started on Halloween in the Home Depot home opener on Halloween. And I got that call in the middle of a store with my wife right next to me. And I started tearing up. I was a little emotional as I took the gig, obviously. And I remember the hug, the embrace that we had in the store. I remember stepping outside and calling my dad, because that was the phone call that I needed to make and let him know, hey, remember when I told you this? Here we are. Jennifer's been an incredible support. She obviously gives me a lot of leeway with the freedom to be able to get to the events and do the things. With my daughter, same thing. She's really engulfed with sports and athletics. She now, like fast forward from high school, et cetera, she will actually substitute for me at the State Spirit Line Championship. She works the event. Jennifer, my wife, now works the event for Spirit Line as well.
That's a long day.
It's
long days.
It's a long days,
Yes.
plural, yes.
Yes.
So there are times where that event overlaps an AIA football semifinal potentially, or maybe a Liberty High School football playoff, depending on home schedule. When that happens, there's a half day I might miss in the evening time of that event. So my daughter was like, I can do it. And I believed her. And she gets compliments. I mean, obviously by osmosis, she's heard me announce since she was born. But she does a really good job in her delivery. I would love it. I'd love nothing else to have her one day replace me, or at least be my other me and be at places and do things. She enjoys it. She's smiling all the time and has joy in it. So my best answer to the question is to talk to them about what it is I do, and their support of me is just having them involved. They're also involved with the people. My wife knows all the people here at the AIA. My daughter does too. Having them know the people that I'm surrounded by and the influences that I'm getting and who I'm influencing, it's meaningful.
We are going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have part 2 of our conversation with the one and only Jim Barnett. We'll be right back.
Healthcare can be complicated, but your coverage shouldn't be. Banner Aetna brings care and coverage together, making health a little less stressful. Banner Aetna, your official health insurance partner. Need a ride that goes the distance? Valley Toyota delivers dependable vehicles and award-winning service. No gimmicks, just great cars. Valley Toyota, let's go places. Strong minds matter. Talk Now AZ gives students and families access to mental health support, because checking in is just as important as showing up. Talk Now, talk often.
It might seem like Jim Barnett is a one-man show, but he'll be the first one to tell you that there's definitely a strong team around him at home and at games. Helping him stay on top of his game is a gentleman who you can say is his right-hand man. Jim will tell you all about this valuable teammate when we return.
This segment is brought to you by Raising Cane's, home of the craveable chicken fingers, signature cane sauce, and fueling fans and athletes alike.
Welcome back to the show. You might not hear Ken Rhodes when Jim Barnett is announcing games, but Ken plays a very important role in making sure Jim sounds as good as he does. As a public address announcer, you think it's a one-man gig, but just from listening to you, it is a team. There is a team around you, not only your wife and your daughter, but also Mr. Ken Rhodes,
Yes.
who does a lot of your spotting, I think, at the Cardinals games, at the Liberty football games. He's been by your side for quite a while as well, I think.
35 years. Ken is specifically Ken, but in reality, that position for a football PA, for somebody doing a football game, is one of the most critical positions in the press box. You need to have that because you can't see everything, especially at the NFL level. You're a lot higher than what you would be in a press box at a high school, et cetera. There's a lot of announcers that I see trying to do the headset mic and the binoculars and doing everything themselves. But it's just not in my opinion, not the right way. Whether you can do it that way or not, that's your personal preference. But having him know football in and out, I mean, I would credit him for always knowing what play is coming next, who's getting the ball. He's a study. He's very, very eccentric when it comes to those things. He's just dialed in. I tune out a lot. I wear a headset at the NFL level, where I'm listening to the game operations controller and the people inside of our booth with camera angles and things like that. I have that on me while I'm talking at my ear. He's right next to me. I tune all of that out during gameplay and only listen to Ken's voice. We become good at it. He knows my cadence. He knows what I'm looking for. A funny story, I got asked last year after a Cardinals game on a Sunday night. I was eating sushi with my family, and I got called by the 49ers. The person that actually hired me at the Cardinals, her name's Laura Johnson. She goes by LJ in the industry. She's now the same person, if not a bigger role, at the 49ers. And she's been in San Francisco for a few years. So I got called a couple of hours after our game. I had done the game, I think it was the Colts last year. And she called me and said, if I got you on a plane in the morning, can you come do Monday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers? Our guy is sick, can't be here. I was like, this is crazy, but sure. So I flew to San Francisco or San Jose, got there. When I came up into the press box, the difference between San Francisco and the Cardinals and maybe other teams, I have Ken Rhodes as a spotter. In San Francisco, they have an offensive spotter, a defensive spotter, and a down and distance line of scrimmage spotter. So there's three of Kenny around me in the press box. When they all came to the game, I was there much earlier than them, but when they showed up, they welcomed me and they just said, will you tell us what you want? Because they don't know my cadence. They don't know what I'm going to be doing. And I said, I think it works better the opposite. You guys do what you do, and I will listen to your voices and pick up what you're telling me. I'm just used to listening to one voice. Hearing three might be a stretch for me for the first quarter, maybe the first half. Very different, extremely different. I left there that night. I called Kenny and I said, man, I'll tell you what, they have three of you in San Francisco and it's much different. But it's a vital, Ken's a dear friend of mine, one of my best friends. We go back to when I was 15 years old. So he knows everything about me and my family. He was in my wedding, a good guy, very reliable, very loyal, and I appreciate him.
And I take it after your San Francisco gig, you saw the value. I take it you value more Mr. Rhodes more than ever now.
Yes, I already did, but I made sure to call him and tell him that. I'm like, you don't know.
That's awesome to hear. Obviously, you do a lot of talking, but I think like any good broadcaster, sometimes you have to let the action do the talking for itself, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's times in the games where you just have to sit back and just let it all unfold on the field, I take it.
Yeah, there's moments. Moments happen that need no words. And so you allow those things to happen. I've had a few of them at the NFL level. Obviously, the Hail Murray, Kyler Murray to Hopkins against Buffalo in a quiet stadium. where there were only 4,500 people during the COVID years. That was a moment that even if there were 70,000 people speaking the words for me, I just kept quiet and let that moment absorb its own self and do those things. The high school level, obviously, I think an announcer can make a big difference in certain things. But one of the things is by being absent from the moment. Let the crowd do the talking, let the fans do the talking, and let the kids' emotions and things like that. Maybe you support it. In my role with the AIA, supporting it musically if I needed to. But I don't like to say too much when someone wins a championship. I've had plenty of games that ended on a three-pointer. I remember just a couple of years ago when Highland, I believe it was, at Veterans Memorial Coliseum, they won a state championship on a last-second three, like as time expired, if I remember correctly. I've done so many games that some of these absent-minded sometimes. But when that kid hit that shot, I didn't say, Highland wins it. I didn't do anything. I just kept myself out of that space. I let it happen, summarized it about a minute and a half later. I let everything happen and unfold in front of me first. So that's a skill. That's not something, because a lot of announcers want to be part of the moment. I want to support the moment.
I take it you've seen a lot of moments, great moments at the high school level, at the pro level, maybe the collegiate level, at games that you've attended.
Yes.
Any of them stand out to this day, even back when you were a student at any level?
Yeah, I've been privileged to be a part of a lot of events. The Fiesta Bowl back in the day, Oklahoma and Boise State, I believe it was, that happened in our building at State Farm with the Statue of Liberty play to end the game. That's probably one of the biggest football moments I've ever witnessed live. Things that I've announced and been part of. At the high school level with the AIA championships, Mountain View, things that stick out, Mountain View versus Hamilton in 2003 at Arizona State was a 3 overtime game. It was insane, just a back and forth affair, high level football. So that was one. Baseball, I do a lot of championships for the AIA. So baseball in, I want to say, just maybe 7 years ago or so, maybe 2019, I think it was, Horizon and Nogales went 16 innings. And not only did it go 16 innings, but in innings 13, Horizon would score and Nogales would then tie it. And then they went to the 14th, and then it happened again, and then in the 15th. And it was just a crazy game. Everybody in the booth is like, when is this going to end? And I thought, I hope it never ends, because I think this is one of the most dramatic baseball games I've ever been a part of for a state title.
Let me interrupt you on that,
Sure.
because I was at that game as well. And one of the things that I appreciate when it comes to Jim Barnett, high school reporters are usually on the field. They're not up in the press boxes, so they're running back and forth. And Jim, to me, sometimes not only is a PA announcer, but he's also a journalist, because you give us facts even during the game. I remember during that 16-inning game that you mentioned, I'm taking down notes, things that you're giving me. You're giving me the lineup as well, numbers, names. You help us so much, not only obviously the fans, but as well. So I just wanted to thank you for doing from that perspective. But go on. I mean, there's so many.
No, there's just so many. I remember America West Arena back in the day when Shadow Mountain played Corona del Sol. It would be the Mike Bibby versus Lamont Long, who played for Corona del Sol. I remember the stories were outside of the building, and I don't remember what year that was. I want to say 96 or 97. They were turning hundreds, if not thousands, of people away from America West Arena. That was such a big game. And I remember at a high school level game with a big crowd of that nature, and you're talking 17, 18,000 people in this building, and the lead up to that game and being a part of it as the PA announcer, I was like, this is incredible. I was only a short duration of time that I had been doing all the high school sports at that point.
Yeah.
So being involved with that game was pretty crazy. There's a lot of in-betweens. There's a lot of moments at Liberty, last-second shots that happen at Liberty. There's the Cardinals with the Hail Mary and the Larry Fitzgerald's touchdown, several touchdowns with Larry Fitzgerald beating Green Bay in the playoffs. And those moments, they're going to be etched in my mind forever. They're moments that I get to live as being part of a big group of people that pour their heart and soul out into game entertainment and game operations. I'm the voice of some of those people. It's hard to be a fan, right? It's, as a PA announcer, you have to, at the AIA level, it's a neutral. People ask me all the time, how do you remain neutral? I don't when I'm doing Liberty games. I'm Liberty's announcer. But when I'm doing an AIA state championship, I'm just as excited for both teams. So it's not really about being flat for both teams. It's about elevating both sides and making the event elevated and elite. So that's kind of the skill you have to have when you're doing a neutral site game, similar to what maybe the guys at the NCAA regionals and things like that do for their basketball tournament. You need to be equally excited for both affairs. Again, lots of moments
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them, but those are the ones that stick in my mind a lot.
You get that same excitement, not just from the professional level, but from the high school level. I think we saw that during Tuba City and Snowflake, the Res Ball championship game, the game that Tuba City won. So many people were, I think 13,000 were there. It's that same level of excitement, right, for both?
It is. It's that same level of excitement for me as the PA announcer, and I often will think about, what do those kids feel like that play res ball, that are on the res, that come in, and they're used to it. They have big crowds up there, obviously, in some of the places that they play, but just to come down and have that support. What does a group like Snowflake, what does a group like that don't play in front of those kinds of crowds feel like? And again, making those moments special with all the people that are in attendance and the atmosphere that we create. So
one of the moments also that makes a Jim Barnett championship event so special is the music selection.
Yes.
Folks may not know this, but your collection is very vast. Tell us about the music angle of this, because this plays a very important role in what you bring.
I try to, it keeps me young. So I tell my wife and my daughter this. So I steal a lot of music from my daughter as she was growing up, so I could know what's the fresh music that's going on out there. What are people listening to? I listen to Liberty athletes and say, hey, what are you listening to? And then I keep my ears to the grindstone, and I pick things that I think that are going on in the now. So that keeps me fresh and young, and being able to play current hip hop type things, environmental things. I'm a 70s, 80s baby, so I'm an 80s fan. That's the music that I grew up on. As far as my formidable years were 80s and then early 90s. So I do have a vast collection. I have over 3 million songs in my database.
Wow.
It goes back a ways. I have a lot of, I pull a lot of things that I do from music. What the feeling that you get, the euphoria you feel, or the moment that you create is supported by that music bed or the music that you're playing in general at a timeout for anybody. So it's something that I'm happy to do. I love it. It's a space that I feel I thrive in.
It's the soundtracks of our lives, right? It's also some of these high school kids as well. You mentioned the 80s. I'm an 80s baby as well.
Yeah.
I take it, and this is how we're going to wrap up, because everybody knows when you attend a Jim Barnett event, there's going to be some great songs being played. I'm going to ask for your top 5 80s songs. So take us back. I don't know if Pet Shop Boys is in there, because I listened to one of your Pet Shop Boys remixes from the championship games. Love that one, by the way. But your top 5, here they are. Top 5 Jim Barnett 80 songs.
Revisions over revisions, because I know that you hit me with this question 2 days ago just to say, be prepared, because you know that I'm into music. But here's my 5. Drive by the Cars, top song ever. That's my favorite song from the 80s. Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, which by the way, I play that at every AIA event in the pre-walk-up people, the music people coming into the event. I will always have that song on. Yep. Hysteria by Def Leppard. Def Leppard happens to be one of my favorite bands, so they're on there, but that's one of my favorite songs as well. And then the other 2, these are the 2 that I juggled getting on there, but I thought, what did I listen to a lot, and what did I love? And music takes you back to moments, right? So you listen to a song and you think about, where did I first hear that song, and what did I love about that summer when I was young, etc. But Blue Monday by New Order. Probably one of my favorite songs ever.
One of my favorite bands.
Yeah, there you go. And Buffalo Stance by Nina Cherry.
Oh, wow, that's
it's just that's probably the most random of my top 5. But one of the songs, it's just a banger. It's one you put that on in a loud stereo system. Whether I'm at an event, I play it at Liberty, or I play it somewhere else in my car. Yeah. It fills the mood, and it makes you just want to go back right to that moment, which for me was a summertime, pool party at my house with kids that are 15, 16. 14, 15, 16 years old and having a great time. So.
He is the voice of the AIA, but also the soundtrack for a lot of these high school athletes. They're going to remember their events, they're going to remember their friends, and they're going to remember Jim Barnett when they announce their games. Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Quick timeout. Because injuries don't follow a game clock, Banner Urgent Care delivers fast, convenient care so you can get back in the action. Banner Urgent Care. Urgent care when you need it most. Your money shouldn't ride the bench. America First Credit Union helps you save, spend, and plan smarter so your finances stay in the game. America First Credit Union. People helping people. Pre-game meals shouldn't slow your team down. EG's team meals are protein-packed and easy to coordinate. Share a 3-foot sub with your team, or enjoy half or whole subs by the dozen. No prep, no hassle, so you can keep the focus on your game. Order now on eat.egs.com. From carpools to clutch moments, Nissan is built for every drive. Reliable, innovative, and always ready to roll. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Welcome back, and thank you to Jim Barnett for taking some time out of his very busy schedule to sit with us. You can catch the very talented Mr. Barnett next month during the AIA's Baseball Championships at Tempe Diablo Stadium. He'll be announcing the 6A baseball title game, the official conclusion to the school sports year. In a way, Jim Barnett, a man for all seasons, serves as our closer too. As for our show, we'll be right back to wrap things up.
This segment is brought to you by Banner Sports Medicine, the exclusive sports medicine partner dedicated to keeping Arizona athletes healthy, strong, and game ready.
Before we go, we wanted to mention some very big games on the docket that will impact region standings and the rankings. A couple of top-ranked teams will complete their 2-game series on Thursday. We start in 4A softball. Micah Mountain and South Point are close to determining who will win the Keno region. Also on Thursday, in 4A baseball, ALA Gilbert North and Chrisman will battle to see who takes the East Sky region. Those two matchups might also determine who winds up with the number 1 seed in their respective tournaments. That's it for us. Thank you for watching, and thank you to one of my partners in crime, Director Kevin Connors, for all of his efforts. We'll catch up next week.